We respectfully acknowledge we are located on Treaty 6, 7, and 8 territory and the historical land of the Métis. They have been the traditional gathering places for many diverse Indigenous peoples, as well as others whose history, languages, and culture continue to influence our community, as well as how we train, learn, and work. Thank you for taking the time to get to know Pride. The audience this presentation is intended for is caregiver program staff, especially those working in recruitment, intake, and assessment of prospective caregivers. This presentation is intended to help program staff understand a bit more about the Pride Learning Management System, as well as to provide some helpful tips when working with learners, also known as applicants, to problem solve. Please note the user guide has much more detail than what is contained in this presentation. It includes screenshots and details so that problem solving is simplified. Please refer to the user guide whenever troubleshooting is needed. For detailed content information, please review the Orientation to Pride Pre-Service presentation, which is on the intranet. It includes a synopsis of the Pride Pre-Service module being offered to learners and a map of the learning sessions, including the live learning check-ins. The acronym PRIDE stands for Parent Resources for Information, Development, and Education, and it was originally developed by Governor State University. It is hosted on what is called a Learning Management System, or LMS, through CourseMail. Alberta has adapted the training to include specific content. It is currently in use by several provinces, including Saskatchewan and BC, and in 2020, Alberta made the decision to adopt it as well. One of the reasons Alberta adopted it is that it is an online platform for delivering training to new and continuing caregivers across the province. Because it is an online platform, learners can take the training in their own home, at their own pace, whenever it suits their very busy schedules. Pride presents 5 competencies for caregivers. In Alberta, the caregiver competency profile includes 7 competencies. Though there are additional competencies in Alberta, they align well with the Pride training. Caregivers need to know what is expected, and understanding the competencies will help them understand their role. As mentioned before, Alberta has 7 competencies. The following 4 align with the 5 Pride competencies. Supporting children and families with historical trauma, loss, and grief. Identify and promote the child or youth's development. Working in collaboration with children's services. Build relationships with the child's family. In kinship, this is navigating close interpersonal kinship dynamics. Pride consists of these 5 competencies: protecting and nurturing children, meeting children's developmental needs and addressing developmental delays, working as a member of a professional team, supporting relationships between children and their families, connecting children to safe, nurturing relationships intended to last a lifetime. In Alberta, there is a strong emphasis on an additional 3 competencies, which are maintain a child's culture, collaborating for successful transitions, and respond to the demands of the caregiving experience. The live facilitator-led virtual learning check-ins, which are 2 hours in length, take place using the Zoom platform. In the first learning check-in, learners are introduced to signs of safety, which is not taught in Pride. They are asked to reflect on the video called Removed shown in Pride pre-service, and then are asked questions that link the material covered in those sessions together. At the end of the first learning check-in, learners are also told about Alberta Foster and Kinship Association, the resources they have, and the mentorship program they offer. The second check-in uses a case scenario to do the same thing. At the end of the second learning check-in, students are provided with information on the next steps. Pride includes a glossary of terms which will help the learner understand the language, including clarification of differences in language between the original Pride training and Alberta's language. As an example, in Pride they sometimes refer to caregivers as resource parents. In Alberta, we do not use this term. We prefer the use of caregiver, as it is more reflective of the range of options in our province, such as kinship, foster care, adoption. Each session of training includes links to important information that will enhance the learner's knowledge, which is embedded throughout the session. A page at the end of each session, called Additional Resources, also links to additional information for the benefit of the learner. In both cases, the information can be downloaded and saved on their computer or printed and placed in a binder. Both options allow the learner to review the additional material at their own leisure. Close to the end of each session, learners are presented with a scenario in which they read a birth parent's perspective. This is meant to encourage the learner to reflect on how the perspective of a child or youth family may differ from their own perspective as a caregiver. Since the focus in Pride is on working together as part of a team, it is important for the learner to recognize the various perspectives and how they may influence decision-making. The Pride Online ebook is an essential resource for this program. Learners will actually be creating it as they go through this training, and it will contain resources that they can later read at home. It will also contain copies of all the work they will be completing throughout this training. It has a number of special purposes, which include providing the objectives and agenda for each session, helping with the activities learners will be doing during the sessions, providing a place to keep any notes the learner may want to take, providing additional materials the learner will need for this program, documenting the work learners do during Pride and things they are proud of, serving as an ongoing resource at home. When a module of training has been completed, a certificate of completion will be emailed to the learner automatically. The email notification generated by the learning management system will be from CourseMill and will encourage them to notify the referring caregiver program staff or agency that they have completed the training module. This is the time when a learner will choose either yes, I am ready to move forward with my application to become a caregiver, or no, I do not feel this is a good fit for me at this time. When a participant is enrolled in the training, they will receive an email from the caregiver training team with some important information. This is referred to as a one-page flyer. The flyer outlines the learning process, getting registered, and using Pride. Please note that each participant must provide their own email address to receive a Pride account. All participants must complete pre-service training, which consists of 10 sessions or approximately 30 hours of content. All participants must complete 2 live facilitator-led virtual learning check-ins. All sessions should be completed within 12 weeks. If it has not been completed in 12 weeks, program staff will check with the participant to see how they are doing and if they need any assistance in completing the training. The information about this would come from the Provincial Caregiver Training Team, and this follow-up would be completed by the recruiter. Pride is hosted on a learning management system, or LMS, outside Canada. This has been reviewed and approved by FOIP. The information stored is the user profile, first and last name, email address, user ID, and non-identifying data about the service region and caregiver type, as in foster care, kinship care, or adoption. Remember that each learner must provide a different email address. Learners cannot use the same email to be registered Pride users. Please ensure you, as the recruiter or resource person, have discussed this requirement fully and collected the names of all persons that this applies to in the household. Discuss the learning check-in requirements. one check-in after sessions 1 to 5, and one after sessions 6 to 9 and the Indigenous session with the learners, and if available, provide them with a copy of the upcoming learning check-in calendar dates. The Pride registration process begins by the recruiter sending an email to the Caregiver program staff at cs.caregivertraining@gov.ab.ca. The information that is required includes the following details for each learner in the household: full name or names of learners, mailing address including postal code, phone numbers where each can be reached, email address for each learner, program they are applying to, for example, foster care, kinship care, or adoption. If there are any applicants that have impediments or challenges to learning, such as hearing impairment, visual impairment, learning disability, English as another language, or anything else, the recruiter or resource person should let the PCTT know about the requirements so accommodations can be made. There are some very important technical things we want to emphasize that you share with learners, participants, registrants, applicants, however you're referring to people who are registering in Pride training. Pride training has been designed and works on a laptop and on a desktop computer. It is not suitable for a tablet or a cell phone, and trying to view it on a tablet or cell phone will be very challenging, and the learner will not benefit from this. Often, as individuals, we will have a preference for a specific browser. Some of us like Safari, some of us like Microsoft Edge, and others may prefer to use Chrome. We want to emphasize that Chrome is the only browser that is effective to use with Pride training. Any other browser will result in technical challenges that will only frustrate the learner. Please emphasize to learners that they need to make sure they use Chrome. Clearing your cache is also another very important technical step that will help the learner obtain the very best learning experience. Even when they have completed some of their Pride training, it is recommended they clear their cache periodically. Otherwise, they may experience technical challenges. The user guide includes step-by-step instructions on how to do this, including screenshots to further provide assistance. If you are trying to help a learner through this, you can always refer to the user guide while you try to walk them through this step. The first time a learner logs into Pride, a system check can be done to ensure compatibility between the training platform and their computer. Although this step is not required, it is advisable to complete it, as it will show a learner whether they are good to go or whether they need to make some changes before starting their training. Once a system check is completed, an outcomes screen will display, indicating whether the computer or laptop has passed or failed the check. The screen will also indicate what steps are required if there is a fail. The Pride pre-service user guide can also be a helpful tool to assist with addressing any issues. A clear systems check will display pass in each category, and now the learner is ready to start their training. Once enrolled, a learner will receive an email from CourseMail saying that they are enrolled into Pride pre-service, along with a link to the training, a user ID, and a temporary password. This is what the learner screen will look like when they log into Pride. It is a good idea for the learner to bookmark this page so that it is easy to access when they are ready to work through the training. If they do not know how to bookmark something, the user guide will contain step-by-step instructions on this. As you can see here, the first time a learner logs into their Pride account, they will be prompted to reset their password. Once a learner has logged into Pride, they will have access to what you see on this slide. On the left-hand side is a list of options the learner can explore. It includes the dashboard, which displays the learner's progress as they work through the courses. As they complete courses, the circle will turn green. This screen will also display any courses the learner is enrolled in, any email notification they have received, as well as identifying the courses the learner is currently working on, has last completed, or is in progress of completing. On the left-hand side, when a learner clicks on the item that says My Courses, the modules of training they are enrolled in will be displayed. When selecting My Courses, a list of the learner's courses will be displayed. As the learner works through a course, the status indicator will slowly fill in until it is a solid color, indicating that the course has been completed. If a learner is unable to complete the course in one sitting, they are able to save their progress and then come back to where they left off at a time that is convenient for them. One final and very important step to emphasize to learners is to save often. This has been the #1 challenge learners have reported. Saving often will ensure they do not lose the progress they have made. Sometimes a learner will lose internet connectivity and will get kicked out of the training. When this happens, they will have to log into the training again once the internet is back up and running. If they save frequently, the training will allow them to start again at the point they last saved. This presentation has been developed to provide you with some helpful information. Should you require any further assistance or clarification, please refer to the Pride Pre-Service User Guide or email cs.caregivertraining@gov.ab.ca.